So, good day everyone. In this presentation, fats and oils analysis will be introduced to you as part of the modules in our Chem 131 laboratory. So, for fats and oils, so these are your triesters of glycerols, okay? So, they belong to the general class of biomolecules known as lipids. So, I think na-tackle lang niyo yung lipids back on your biochem, no? So these lipids are the general term for substances that are insoluble in polar solvents. Okay? That's why yung oil natin and water do not mix. But soluble in non-polar solvents. So what are the examples of lipids that you may have encountered? So these are your fats, waxes, sterols, fat-soluble vitamins. So these are the examples, no? We have vitamins A, D, E, and K. Also, we have monoglycerides, diglycerides, triglycerides, and lipid derivatives. Okay? So, structurally, the fats and oils are esters of fatty acids and glycerol. So, in this structure, ito yung ating glycerol. And there are R groups that are attached to our glycerols. These R groups are your fatty acids. So, this may be the same for all R groups or this may be different. Pero yung pinaka-common ay yung magkakaiba talaga yung R group attached to your glycerols. So, fats and oils are mixture of triglycerides. So, naturally occurring and oils are mixtures of different mixed triglycerides and may contain greater than 3 different fatty acids. Okay? So, as mentioned kanina, yung structure ng ating fats and oils are a combination of glycerol. So, ito yung ating structure of glycerol and fatty acid. By fatty acid, it means meron kayong R group na long chain yan, hydrocarbon chain, and a carboxylic end. Okay? So, yung ating carboxylic end will be the one attaching to your glycerol, and the R group is oriented away from the glycerol. So, ito, yung R group natin ay, in this case, ay magkakaiba. So, meron tayong R prime, R double prime, and R triple prime. Yan. It just means that yung R group ay magkakaiba. Okay? So, what are the differences between fats and oils? So, yung fats natin ay long-chain saturated fatty acids predominate. Okay? So, ang pinaka-majority or the major composition ng fats ay saturated fatty acid. And then, these are solid or semi-solid at room temperature. And generally, they are obtained from animal sources, so mga animal fats. So we have pork fat and beef tallow. Okay? Then for oils naman, these are unsaturated fatty acids. Okay? So unlike sa fats, sa oils naman, unsaturated siya. By unsaturated, meaning may mga double bonds present in our long hydrocarbon chain dun sa R group ng ating fatty acid. So since they are unsaturated, they are usually liquid at room temperature. And generally, they are obtained from vegetable sources, no? So we have corn oil, soybean oil, peanut oil, cottonseed oils, and so on. Okay? So as mentioned kanina, your R groups may be same and your R groups may be different. Kapag same, they are rare in nature and ito yung ating composition, for example. So, yung R group na present dun sa ating triglyceride ay magkakapareho. So, simple yung tawag doon. For mixed naman, so these are the more common. So, yung R group natin ay magkakaiba. Okay? So, dito, saturated siya. Then, dito sa third R group, meron tayong unsaturation. Okay? So, fatty acids are hydrocarbon derivatives. So, ano siya, yung long chain of hydrocarbon, then sa dulong part, meron kayong carboxylic acid. So, these are your carboxylic acids with hydrocarbon chains that are usually ranges from 4 to 2 to 36 carbons and accounts for the poor solubility of fatty acid in water. For example, you have this long chain yes, tawag dito, yes, polar yung ating carboxylic group, pero yung ating long chain accounts for the non-polar group. So, para siyang ano, meron kang polar end and meron kang non-polar end. And since mas dominant yung ating non-polar end, it makes our fatty acid uh, have poor solubility in water. Okay? So, as mentioned, we have different types of fatty acids. So, we have saturated. So, saturated ay completely saturated with hydrogen yung ating hydrocarbon. So, when you look at this structure, so, well, lahat yan may mga hydrogen attached to each carbon. And completely saturated siya with hydrogen. Kaya, saturated. Okay? So, ito yung mga palmitic acid natin, stearic acid, butyric acid, yan. So, yung example natin ay dependent dun sa number of carbons. Yung butyric, we have 4 carbons. So, yung counting of carbons natin starts from the carboxylic carbon. Okay? Then, we have unsaturated. So, unsaturated naman, in a sense na merong at least one unsaturation present in the hydrocarbon chain. By unsaturation, meaning meron kang double bond. Okay? So, how do we name this? So, meron tayong other description as you can see here. So, yung 18, ibig sabihin, there are 18 carbons present in your oil. Okay? Tapos, after ng colon, yung number doon represents the number of carbon, a number of unsaturation. Okay? So, dito meron kang unsaturation na isa, kasi meron kang isang double bond. Dito naman meron kang dalawang unsaturation. And dito meron kang tatlong unsaturation or tatlong double bonds. And then yung delta naman represents the number of carbon or the kung saang carbon siya nagkaroon ng unsaturation. In this case, when we count from the starting from the carboxyl carbon, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So delta 9, ibig sabihin, dun sa carbon 9 nagkaroon ng double bond. Okay? In linoleic acid, we have 2 unsaturation started from carbon 9 and carbon 12. So ito yon 9 and 12. Okay? Then for linolenic acid, so they are 18 carbon ulit, pero they have 3 unsaturation. So that started from carbon 9, carbon 12, and carbon 15. Okay? So meron pa tayong isang type of description. Instead na delta ang gamitin natin, we have omega. By omega, we start from the end of the fatty acid chain. For example, dito sa ating linolenic acid, it can be named as omega 3, 6, and 9. Kasi dito magsa-start yan 1, 2, 3. So, 3 to. So, omega 3. 4, 5, 6. 6, omega 6. 7, 8, 9. So, omega 9. So, instead the delta, ang lalagay nyo ay omega na sign. So, yun yung mga, for example, sa century 2 na mga omega 3. Sabihin, yung mga fatty acid involved doon ay mayroong carbon, double bond dun sa omega 3 position. Okay? So, you have to take note of this naming kasi instead na i-drawing mo siya, bawa, draw the oleic acid. Po, hindi mo alam kung paano siya i-draw, pero alam mo yung other description niya. So, guided kayo ng other description on how to draw your structure. Okay? So, what are the generalizations about naturally occurring fatty acids? So, nearly all fatty acids have an even number of carbon atoms. So, mas common or almost lahat ng fatty acid ay even numbered. So, we have C14 to C22 and the most abundant one are from C16 to C18. Okay? And then for the melting point of unsaturated fatty acid are less than of those saturated fatty acid. So bakit kaya siya less? Because of the double bond. So yung double bond natin ay mas maliit yung kanyang uh, bond length and it makes the fatty acid bulky. So bakit siya nagiging bulky? Because unlike dun sa saturated, they can be packed well. So parang pag pinagpatong-patong mo yung mga oleic acid, ay hindi pa oleic, yung stearic acid, for example, pag pinagpak-pak mo yan, it can be packed na mas maganda, so mas compact siya. Unlike kapag unsaturated, dahil may pagka magulo itong ating pag-bend ng ating structure, so mas mahirap siyang ipack, so mas mahirap, mas hindi siya compact compared dun sa ating saturated. So pag hindi siya compact, meaning mahina yung kanyang IMFA. Pag mahina yung IMFA, it just means that corresponds to the melting point of your structure, no, of your compound. For number 3, most unsaturated fatty acids have double bond at C9 and C10. So, yon. So, as you can see dito naman, so meron kayong double bond dito sa C9. Okay? So, medyo siya, common. So, for the analysis of fats and oil, so these are the following parameters that you should be considering. So, it is done to determine the identity, the purity, and the quality of the fats and oils. So, for example, you are given a structure or a sample of a fat and oil. So, hindi mo alam kung anong klaseng fats and oil siya. So, these are the tests that you can do to test for its identity. So, you can do specific gravity or refractive index since unique naman ang ating specific gravity and refractive indices dun sa ating mga oils present. For chemical properties naman, so for chemical properties, you need to do laboratory, parang chemical works. So, wet lab ito. So, for identification, you can do saponification number. So, that is one of your exercises here. Iodine number. So, pag ginawa niyo itong dalawang to, ito ay for identification purposes. Then, if you are tasked to determine the quality of the oil, by quality, kasama na dun yung purity, no? So, you can check for free fatty acid value or FFA as well as the PV or the peroxide value. So, meron tayo ditong disclaimer na using the physical and chemical properties analyzed, the identity of the sample can be determined. Okay? Pero, if you only use one property, for example, physical lang, so meron chance na hindi mo siya ma-identify because meron tayong mga oil na parehas ang physical property. For example, parehas pala ang specific gravity ng oil 1 and oil 2. So, hindi mo ma-identify kung siya ba ay oil 1 or oil 2. Pero as you pair it with a chemical property, so pwede na tayong magkaiba doon ng value. Okay? By then, you can identify your unknown oil. So, dapat, at least 2 test yung gagawin ninyo or test of properties to determine the identity, the purity, and quality of your fats and oils. Okay, for sample preparation, these are the following parameters that you should consider. So, you have the sensory, the presence of residue, and the sample storage. For sensory, these are the things that you need to do. So, you have to observe the clarity, the color, the smell, and the viscosity of your oil and of your oil. And then for the residue naman, you have to filter it through cotton or you may decant it. Kasi by decanting, pwedeng maiwan yung mga solids na settle na sa ilalim. For sample storage, you have to keep your oils in dark colored bottles tightly capped in a cool, dry place to retard rancidity. So, yung rancidity naman ay, ano yan, doon talaga papunta lagi yung ating oils. Pero, we can minimize it by doing these measures. Okay? So, for fats naman, there are following sample preparation. So, if it is a solid fat, you just have to melt the fat and filter through the adsorbent cotton. Okay? Then for butter or margarine, so you just have to get a certain amount of butter or margarine in a small beaker, then a hot water bath na not greater than 60 degrees Celsius. Okay? Pag kasi greater than, it may cause degradation. So, pwede maging rancid yung ating butter. Then, after nyo ma-melt, i-allow lang nyo siyang mag-cool and settle. Then, ipapipette out nyo lang yung clear fat na nandun sa top layer ng ating butter and margarine. Okay? So, this ends the presentation for the introduction of fats and oils analysis. So, there is another video for the specific gravity. So, for this now, I will end the presentation. So, thank you for listening.